last night that I was chased by a massive dog being ridden by Kevin Nash.
I just didn't dream. That's interesting.
Maybe, do you want him for your dream tonight?
Yeah, if you can send him over,
I'll send him over. Yeah, we dream every night apparently, but sometimes your brain doesn't remember it.
Do you ever get when you have like a good dream and you wake up, you go, God, that was a good dream, and then you try and think about what it was and it's gone?
Yeah.
I all the time.
I used to write them down. We'll do some news in a bit, I promise. You love the long intro. Shut up. I used to write them down. I used to have a little dream book, but it would just be nonsense. I'd write it down as my brain was sort of booting up, and then I'd read it later and I'd go, I don't know what this dream means, but at the time I was really excited about it. It's weird, isn't it? There was a thing the other night, right? We'll get to the news in a bit, it's fine. There was a thing the other night.
Headlines.
Fine. Tell you later. Randy Orton's WWE return date has been revealed. AEW are extremely concerned about COVID disrupting some big plans. And another new faction for AEW? It looks like it. We'll talk about it in a bit. Randall Keith. Praise be. He's been away for a little bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been on the inactive list for what, maybe a month or so?
Yeah, we don't know the full details as to why he is inactive, but according to local advertising, and this is the nice thing about getting back on the road, is that sometimes these little spoilers eke out this way, don't they?
Yep.
Randy is going to be at Monday Night Raw next week, August the 2nd. He is scheduled to be in a match teaming with Riddle and Drew McIntyre to face Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles and Omos. This is happening.
That's nice. That's nice.
Potentially a dark match main event.
Potentially, but it's the difficult thing when you see something being advertised in the local market, because sometimes that means it's a tester and they're going to gauge everything from the response of the announcement in that local area to the interaction with maybe the ticket purchases after the announcement, and then how the crowd receives the match itself if it is indeed a dark match. But I mean, looking at that match, it could also just be on Raw.
Yeah, it could just be a Raw match. It could just be something they just set up.
They love a six-man tag. Come on.
I kind of feel like that if Orton's going to return, I feel like the first thing he should do is RKO Riddle. I kind of feel like that's in keeping with Randy Orton's character to come back and just drop Riddle. That's what I feel like
we might see it, but I don't know. They're selling merch, aren't they? So
they teased it a little bit on Monday night, where like they were beating up, where AJ and Omos were beating up Riddle, and we're half anticipating Orton to save the day.
Well, it's inevitable. It's coming. But it's just a matter of when, right?
Absolutely. So potentially Randy Orton back on our screens from Monday. Over to the AEW side now. There's some concern there this morning about the next few months. It's a milestone period coming up potentially for All Elite Wrestling. There could be some spanners in the works though, Sam, couldn't there?
So Cassidy Haynes of Body Slam is reporting, I was told that AEW is extremely concerned about the recent surge in COVID cases, possibly disrupting their events for Chicago, New York City, St. Louis, and beyond. Over the last week, discussions have ramped up internally as COVID cases have begun to explode across the country, and this has caused AEW to begin conversations about what to do if there is a shutdown, up to and including a potential prolonged return to Daly's Place in Jacksonville. Now, the CDC is recommending national mask guidelines, and the concern is that it's only a matter of time before large gatherings are shut down once again. So the biggest concerns for AEW right now are the status of the upcoming shows in Chicago, where the mayor may bring in a mask mandate, New York City, where municipal workers must be vaccinated or they'll face weekly COVID-19 tests, and St. Louis, who reinstated an indoor mask mandate on Monday. So AEW obviously trying to crack on with their plans, but they've got this massive iceberg on the horizon in the form of rising COVID cases and state-by-state laws, because that's, that you've got to imagine that if they don't want to go back to Daly's Place, they might have to start just moving to states where they can still do this stuff.
I think the one thing that we've seen from wrestling shows over the last 18 months is they can become these moving beasts, and they can just roll with the punches a lot better than I think they've had to, I suppose.
It's just, I think for now, if at the stage we're at, where we're so close to the end of this thing, that we're getting there, we're so close to defeating it and moving forward with regular life, to then go back on the road as a wrestling company and then have to go back behind closed doors is a bit it must just be gutting.
It's a weird time because, like, even for us, like, we're back in the office and we're kind of hoping that the things go the way they continue to go and the pandemic becomes an endemic and it just sort of, it'll always float around, but we can crack on with our daily lives. And there's this horrible fear that, are we going to pack up again? I don't really want to pack up again. Like, you know, I've just put a bigger bed in the spare room. I don't think I'll get in this time. But obviously AEW keeping their options fluid, and any other time it would be what it is. But, you know, when we've talked for the last week about a Daniel Bryan debut, a CM Punk debut, and Chicago being the potential place for that.
These are the concerns that, you know, if this is happening and these big debuts are going to happen, you've got to imagine they want to do that in front of an audience. When you had situations like Matt Hardy debuting to silence, and it just didn't. It just doesn't feel right. It's just not wrestling, is it? And just hopefully everything will be all right and we can crack on.
Over on the WWE side of things, Andrew Zarian of the Mat Men podcast hearing that the Queen of the Ring tournament is scheduled for the 8th of October episode of SmackDown and will continue on the 11th of October episode of Raw. King of the Ring becoming a Queen of the Ring this year and starting relatively soon.
Well done on getting those dates the right way around, because I would be like the 10th of August and the 10th of November, and I would have just cracked on and said it. But yeah, I mean, the Queen of the Ring, it's long overdue, isn't it? This is something that, you know, it's usually a tournament that's put on free TV for, you know, the majority of it, right? And it'll just build through and we'll get something out of it. They've not really placed so much importance on King of the Ring in recent years, and it'd be nice if it became like a TV special type deal. I feel
it looks like that's what they're planning for it. I think I like a King of the Ring.
Maybe put the final on a pay-per-view if you have to, but not on the pre-show, please.
Okay, yeah, make it actually part of the show. Make it mean something,
and don't make them wear a crown and don't. Oh,
defo make them wear a crown. That's the bit I like about the King / Queen of the Ring. Returning to the tag team ranks, the American Wolves. So Eddie Edwards has been doing some great things on Impact Wrestling. We've seen Davey Richards come out of retirement. He was a fireman for a little while.
Yes, he was.
And he's made a return to the wrestling world, already turning some heads. And it was inevitable. October 30th at the Wrestling Revolver. This is the company that Sami Callihan owns. They're making a return for their show Tales from the Ring. We don't know their opponents yet, but it'll be the first time they've teamed since 2017. They are a solid tag team of the American Wolves.
Absolutely. It's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting. And it must be awesome to go work for a company run by Sami Callihan, because that guy loves wrestling.
There's a real
legitimately
energy.
Loves wrestling. So they must be a good environment to be in, and definitely a great environment for the Wolves.
Do you love factions, Sam?
I'm indifferent toward factions. From time to time, I can be swayed by one and fall in love with one, only to have my heart broken again. But, you know.
Do you think AEW needs some more? Just chucking that little bait out there.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Get all the factions on the go, Tom.
10 million factions. Vickie Guerrero chatting to Thoughts Count Anywhere. Love the podcast, chef's kiss to you. Who says that she's keen on getting into the faction game herself, doesn't she, Sam?
Yes, so when asked who she would... she said that she would love to have an all-woman stable. It would be a dream. And there are some incredible women on the women's roster, and she'd love to bring some more in. But when she was asked who she'd like to add to her stable, she replied, Diamante. I would love to have her on. Abaddon, because she scares the hell out of me. Thunder Rosa, I think she would be an incredible addition to my stable. That's who I have eyes on right now.
This is a conversation that Vickie Guerrero has had with Tony Khan as well, so we could very likely see this sort of Vickie Guerrero.
She's perfect to lead a stable, man.
Nation of excusation.
It has to be heel. There's no way it can't be. I couldn't imagine.
Absolutely.
No, I just face Vickie Guerrero after all this time? Nah, that doesn't work.
It needs to be Vickie screaming her way into the AEW faction wars. Make it a thing. More news later on. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.